I'm Dream Queen. You're in the cab with me and Travis and Michael. Hello, brothers. How are y'all doing?
Doing so good this morning. Yeah, nice to be here.
Yeah, too good.
Welcome. Ain't no such thing. Don't come in here with that. You know, I'm like, feel good, as much good as you can, because when we never know what's going to happen when we go outside.
No,
we just
when we join Kenneth.
Yes, come paint, y'all. He's outside right now. So y'all know me. Y'all know Travis. Unless you're new, then get to know us. Go on In the Cab Radio at Linktree, and you can find all of the different places where you can listen to the show, learn about the show on Instagram and everything. And you can find out more about me and hear the shows that we've done in the recent past and the distant past. But let's learn about Michael. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, Jada.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, my name's Michael. I've talked for hours on end with Jada and Travis outside of the radio, so decided to break out of my comfort zone a little bit and come hop on the radio. We'll see what happens.
We love it. We love the vulnerability. We love getting out the comfort zone. Yeah. So y'all feeling good. You want to say anything, Travis?
No, I love the deep conversations, and I love to be in a place where it's easy to have those.
Yes. Well, you feel that here, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that makes me feel so good.
Is this the cab?
Yes. Well, yeah, we're just painting a picture for people. I love that. Yeah. Well, I actually haven't told people the story about how I named the show in a while.
Hit me.
When I first thought about doing the show for KMRD, I'm always riding in my truck, and I'm like, I'm in the cab, and so I'm just gonna bring people in my truck cab. And then I started thinking about my grandfather, who was a minister and a cab driver. And he used to take me to school in the mornings, and he would sometimes pick up a fare on the way. And I got to just be in his world. And he always would just chat with the people he would pick up. I grew up in Washington, D.C., so it was always some interesting people going to interesting places. And I was like, wow, this is more than just me being in my truck or my voice being in a truck or a car with other people, but it's pulling in my ancestors. And this is, and the modalities of their being, ministering to folks, chatting with folks, enlightening. And
the depth of conversation I've had in some Uber rides and cab drives that I've been on too is insane. Yeah, right? I can only imagine. Yeah.
It's just beautiful. So thanks for asking,
Yeah.
And I'm glad to bring people back. Should we just read the poem and then start talking about how we feel?
That sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, listeners. I'm going to do a quick little rundown for the people. This is Kahlil Gibran's The Prophet. It's in public domain, and the three of us have really related lately over this book, as Michael has said. And it follows the wisdoms of Al-Mustafa, who is considered the prophet, the chosen one. And he is leaving a town called Orphalese, where he was, I say exiled, because it seems like he was there. We don't know why or how long he's been there. And his ship to take him back to his homeland is arriving through the mists. And he laments leaving the people and returning to his place of birth, but he must do it. And so they begin to lament his leaving as well and follow him down to the seawall, where they ask him to share what he's learned about them as they await the ship's arrival. And this time a poet said, "Speak to us of beauty." And he answered, "Where shall you seek beauty, and how shall you find her, unless she herself be your way and your guide? And how shall you speak of her, except she be the weaver of your speech? The aggrieved and the injured say, beauty is kind and gentle, like a young mother half shy of her own glory, she walks among us. And the passionate say, nay, beauty is a thing of might and dread. Like the tempest, she shakes the earth beneath us and the sky above us. And the tired and the weary say, beauty is of soft whisperings. She speaks in our spirit. Her voice yields to our silences like a faint light that quivers in fear of the shadow. But the restless say, we have heard her shouting among the mountains, and with her cries came the sound of hoofs and the beating of wings and the roaring of lions. At night, the watchmen of the city say, beauty shall rise with the dawn from the east. And at noontide, the toilers and the wayfarers say, we have seen her leaning over the earth from the windows of the sunset. In winter, say the snowbound, she shall come with the spring, leaping upon the hills. And in the summer heat, the reapers say, we have seen her dancing with the autumn leaves, and we saw a drift of snow in her hair. All these things have you said of beauty, yet in truth you spoke not of her, but of needs unsatisfied. And beauty is not a need, but an ecstasy. It is not a mouth thirsting, nor an empty hand stretched forth, but rather a heart inflamed and a soul enchanted. It is not the image you would see, nor the song you would hear, but rather an image you see though you close your eyes, and a song you hear though you shut your ears. It is not the sap within the furrowed bark, nor a wing attached to a claw, but rather a garden forever in bloom, and a flock of angels forever in flight. People of Orphalese, beauty is life when life unveils her holy face. But you are life, and you are the veil. Beauty is eternity gazing at itself in a mirror. But you are eternity, and you are the mirror. Kahlil Gibran, the prophet, on beauty. I love it.
What a chapter.
I love it.
Yeah. Mm.
So,
Well, you opened the program talking about your mom, so we might as well start at the root. Like, when you're first born, your first exchange and feeling of beauty that, you know, it could be like described as the chakra just vibrating. It's like the music that's there when your ears are closed, you know, where it's a feeling that emanates from your chest, like high up in your chest, of ecstasy. And that feeling when you first exchange that with your mother, the first time you mirror to your mother the ecstasy of being in her presence, and it's mirrored back and it's magnified. It's just, in, you know, that was the big thought this morning. It's the first experience, the root of the situation, and that's what got me interested in thinking more about that and how we carry that through our lives, but we can't, you know, just seem to describe it. Like, I read the poem the first time and didn't feel like I understood even what beauty was.
I was bouncing off of it a little too. When you came in the shop and we were trying to read through it and pick through it, it took me some time. It took till last night where everything really started to come together on this one, honestly.
wow.
But when you talk about sharing that with your mom, like whenever I feel like the most aligned or fulfilled and basking in the beauty, it feels like a womb. Like that's like stage one of everything. Like you're so safe and protected in there. And he says it's ecstasy, and I describe a womb, that feeling is like oceanic ecstasy. Like when you're with people around you who are just like, when you're just sharing what's there, and it's a little ineffable how to describe it. The only way I can is it just feels like you're surrounded by the womb. Like it is oceanic ecstasy.
Yeah, you're seeing the unseen, you know. That's been part of like my mushroom journey, because, you know, once a week I try to microdose, take a walk at night, and see what's different. What is it about the experience with mushrooms that makes the experience different? And I think it's almost like the way breathing works, because the mushroom can activate that chakra in your chest, and it almost reverse engineers the new sight. You know, I was staring at a dead tree in the street like I'd never seen a dead tree before in my life because I'd never paid attention to it at night. Up against a gray backdrop, the tree is black. And all of a sudden, the detail is way more extreme than you would ever see in the day. You know, and for some reason, it made me so happy. I was like, I'd never seen a dead tree before and just like appreciated it.
And all you do is dead trees. I love that, you know. I love that coming from a wood sculptor. I have 2 things on that. Well, 3, because when you were talking, Michael, I was like, don't say anything about mushrooms. Like, that's what I was in my head. Not to you, but to myself. I'm like, Jenny, you can't relate everything to mushrooms. And I'm so glad that you said it, Travis.
I was going to bring up my experience with mind medicine a few weeks ago when I just ended up, you know, integration the next morning, reflecting on the feelings I felt. And I realized that I just want to share what's right there. And I've said that phrase to some people and they're like, what? And I've said that phrase to some people and they're like, yes. And that's how you know that some people have spent some time appreciating the beauty in just about anything. I took some mind medicine and spent probably over an hour peeling and eating an orange that I was hating on just the day before for being a little bit dry. But when I was on that mind medicine, like the dead tree, I spent an hour peeling it when you peel an orange and it's one peel and there's no break, I did that. And then I ate it like each little juicy kernel at a time and just appreciated the dry orange for what it was. And
That's dope. That's like my first experience with marijuana, with the herb. I was in high school and I was cutting class with the freaks in it, you know, but it was just me and 2 other hippie dudes. And I ate an apple. And it was the first time I smoked pot. I was probably a senior in high school. And it was like the first time I ate an apple. I had never had an apple before.
That apple was so good.
I mean, the way that I just took a bite and the juice, the way that it exploded into my mouth.
Your teeth rips through the flesh.
I mean, it was, you know, the texture of the flesh, all of it, what you're saying. And the other 2 points I wanted to make, going back to the mother situation, is my mom was saying that I was about 2 weeks late. Like, she had to do a cesarean. She was like, can you please get this baby out? Like, no more. And I'm like, well, maybe I was just like chilling. Like, that's how I like to think about it. Not that I just didn't want to come out here to this harsh, you know, coldness. And also, why would you want to just leave? I mean, I'm just floating around. She's eating Chinese. Like, we're just hanging out. What I need to go out there for?
First proof that change is inevitable.
Yeah, I know. You just can't stay in the same place. And speaking of which, so my other point was during a mind medicine. I like how you say that. Just recently, as far as yesterday, I was like, wow, this is a gateway drug. And I'm like, the way they said it to us in the 80s and 90s, you know, marijuana is a gateway drug. And I'm like, no, like, this is a gateway to a whole, to a different dimension, a different level of my current experience where I can walk through in my mind and have a creation experience. What am I going to affect on this frequency? It's like a crossing over onto a different frequency. And then I started to really, I don't know, think about the life I was creating for myself and the different powers that I could, you know, and when I use mushrooms, I feel that in the tingling in my heart chakra and my fingertips too. Almost like a Reiki kind of, like, where things are vibrating ever so slightly, you know, in a different frequency.
You're in a harmonic with the universe.
There we go. Yeah. We love to talk about harmonics here.
I've been listening.
Well, and that I feel like that feeling in the chest that we've described as a lot of things like the quickening, whatever, that chakra vibration lifting. Like, when you're able to get into that mode, the joy and the beauty that you experience immediately, whatever it is. Like, this morning was my morning cup of coffee, and in the walk here to the station, And the only thing I could think as I was smiling walking up was, laughing at the creator, because people call me a show off. Like the flower, the flowers were going off. The things that survived the hailstorm, everything. It was just, it smells so fresh because we don't get water that often. And we've had like 4 days of rain. It's I don't know.
God's flexing on us.
Yes. And I felt like that's beauty. I don't know how to describe it. I didn't just describe it just now. I can't even do it justice with my mouth. And I feel like I'm trapped in a box with a pile of words trying to explain what happened between my house and the radio station, between me and the flowers. It's like, yeah, the creator is a show off.
The creator is a show off. And I love that, and we are reflections of the creator. In the poem in here on talking, and then the one on teaching, I just always go back to Gibran, who is a wordsmith, but saying how much we struggle to find words to explain what cannot be put into words. All it can do is be experienced.
Because the words came well after the experiences. We started coming up with words way after people started experiencing stuff. And we're still trying to play catch up, honestly.
Yeah.
Webster Dictionary adds like 100 new words every year or whatever it is. Yeah, we're trying to figure it out.
That's why I love how he chose the poet to be the one to speak of beauty, to ask about beauty. Because we look to poets and songwriters to describe the condition of the world, to fill us in on the beauty they observe.
Yeah. Try and beautify the mundane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there too.
There was a poem, I can't remember who wrote it. It was, what is it? Beauty without love is hell. But to love beauty is paradise. I can't remember. I'm terrible with names.
No, go ahead. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. I can search it if you want me to.
No,
it's
just another angle of trying to dissect it. You know what I mean? Like, and also that we've talked about the paradox, because like joy and sorrow, beauty is the same way. Like. Here in the desert, when people think of living in the desert, they certainly don't really see it. You know what I mean? It looks a lot different when you come and visit, and all these little microcosms we have in New Mexico are incredible.
And something else I've realized too is like people come out here with a certain idea. We were speaking about Hunter Thompson and Alan Watts and like cats who go on these epic adventures and then either inner or outer, and folks get this romanticized view of like, I'm gonna go out in the desert and trip out, and and then you get here and it's like it's either freezing cold or it's super hot. To me, it's like it's windy and then things are poking me, and and you can't seem to know. And then you have, once I let go of the things that I was looking for, like Gibran says here, in truth, you spoke not of her, but of needs unsatisfied. That we're talking about what we want to see, what we want to experience, but instead of what is there. And so then I start to look, and I'm like, wow, if I look a little closer, this place is to the, what's the song with, I want to say it's America, but who does the Horse with No Name? Going through the desert on a horse with no name, right?
Feels good to be out in the rain.
He's like, talking about his days in the desert sun and his journey to the ocean, but the life that lives in the seeming barrenness of the desert landscape. If you just allow yourself to take in what's actually here.
And the paradox of beauty, in that there's a lot of beauty in the broken. I mean, there's a lot of people that live out here that are working on themselves, and it's one of the things that I love about people, because I don't think, if you don't think you've got something to work on, we don't have anything to talk about.
Clock out, dude. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And so the beauty and the broken, it's like beauty also has this paradox, like joy and sorrow. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm glad you bring up paradox, because what the breakthrough I finally had with this chapter after bouncing off of it for a little bit over a week was it felt like beauty is a synonym for the Kybalians, the all. Where like it is in everything. Like when you talk about joy and sorrow, both are equally beautiful, and joy and sorrow are not different, but 2 degrees of the same thing. Which is how it's so once you realize that, it's so easy to find the beauty in both sides.
Yeah, one carves the vessel, one fills the vessel.
Yes. I felt some of the most beauty in some of the most technically painful periods of my life. Because it feels like you strip your life down to the absolute base. And I've probably said this phrase to both of you, but like, when you're free of want, everything's in surplus. And I think that's evident in the desert too. Because there isn't like a whole lot going on, which just makes it so much easier to see the beauty in the surplus when it occurs. Like you said, the flowers that survive the hailstorm. Like people that are in the Northeast or the Northwest that see flowers all the time probably drive through this town and don't even see them. But if you've been here long enough to appreciate the things that survive in the nothingness, yeah, that's beautiful.
That's dope. It's like what you were talking about, the dead tree, and I stepped outside of my house, and I have some dead trees and some living trees. And my landlord came by last year, and he took out some of the dead trees and left some other ones. And I'm like, please don't take any more, because the birds want that. The woodpecker wants that.
It's affordable housing.
It's affordable housing. But they use all of it. And when I stand back and I see a crow perched on top of a dead limb, or a hollowed out hole in a partially dead tree, I'm giving thanks that bird has shelter, and whatever bugs are in there finishing that tree off, they get to eat that and nest in that. I also neglected to mention a little while back when we were on the show, something that you said that segued to this thought: the beauty in the journey. I'm often want to get from point A to point B and just have it be there. But really the trip is the whole process, the ups and the downs, and those challenges that help me to form into more of me. Just really wanting to be the clay that is in that show-off spirit's hands, that experience, because then I can share the beauty of my process with other people,
I think it's I've been battling my feelings with the word hope for the past few years. Because for a while it was all I had to latch onto, in childhood and stuff. It was the hope of growing up and making it out and starting my life. And then I got really into Buddhism for a while, and the Buddhists hate on hope quite a bit, because it's an excuse for you not to be happy right now for the most part. And then I think I've settled in somewhere in the middle, where I think hope feels like a goal, but once you realize it's about the journey, you don't really need the hope. Hope's still important, because I know you guys have talked about still being in survival mode and not even having the tools needed to pull yourself out of it yet. And sometimes hope is needed to peel the veil back a little bit, but there's no reason to not be content right now. When you hit that goal, if you don't address your own inner stuff, you're still going to be searching for the next goal and the next goal and the next goal. You got to settle into the journey, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's like vitamin deficiency. If you don't have inspiration and connection, things start to not work upstairs. Without inspiration.
I like inspiration as a substitute for hope. I
like
to
that.
look forward.
Just some cynical optimism.
Oh, weaponized happiness?
Weaponized happiness. Oh wow.
That's a Travis one.
No, fill me in on weaponized happiness.
You watch me go about my day.
Somebody's asking me what I thought of bubbles, and I was like, weaponized happiness.
You've also said it's how silent people scream.
Yeah. There's a scream in every bubble.
I was just thinking about if I live in a place of of accomplishment, of being in wonder of what I have accomplished thus far, of how far my being has brought me. Hope is something I don't even think about anymore, because I'm just existing with the feeling that everything is going to be all right. I had a mentor once who said everything is going well whether we know it or not.
Yeah. And I think it starts with that first smile with your mom that had those same eyes that are in your skull right now making the same shape that they're making at me. And that's amazing to me. You carried that all the way through, and that's that vibe of like, it's always going to be all right. Like, you might have questioned it at first when you got out in that cold room, but... And
then if you're born in a hospital, man, some guys like hitting you like as soon as you come out. They got these little plastic things. They suction this and that, and it's like, man, this is this gateway.
Because you're exiting the oceanic
portal?
ecstasy of the womb. Stanislav Grof talks about birth being the first real and probably heaviest trauma you'll ever feel in your life, because it's an exit from what is the most beautiful. Yeah. And then you spend the rest of your life trying to find things that replicate that feeling of being home. Yeah.
These headphones remind me of putting headphones on my child's mama while her baby's, making sure that they were well educated in the reggae before they came out.
Oh yeah, so you did that. You gave them a little ambiance and everything. Yeah. I know. Well, that's. I started doing this show thinking that I was going to be playing a bunch of music from my youth, a bunch of '90s stuff, and what came through and has been the most lasting are the cuts from the '60s and '70s, when what my mom was jamming to, and then growing up as an itty bitty, riding in her car. The other womb is that Buick station wagon laid out in the back after going to the park and running too hard. And
that's a big ship sailing on the ocean.
I got my mom playlist. Carly Simon, Sade.
Oh, yeah.
When I hang out with my mom, she begs me to play my playlist, but it just so happens to be the cuts from the 60s and 70s. Why is that music the absolute best?
Mind medicine, perhaps?
Yeah. I mean, got suppressed for a while.
Yeah, those guys are not playing around. I did a lot of Funkadelic in the first hour. For those of you who are new to the show, you can go over to In the Cab Radio at Linktree. But real quick, you can go to In the Cab Radio at Mixcloud. And you can hear the entire rebroadcast of the show that doesn't get aired on the podcast platforms, and that includes the music hour. And the first hour today was a whole bunch of Funkadelic and Parliament and Jimi Hendrix and that stuff that just grooved my mom, because we got Mother's Day coming up.
I love Kurt Cobain as much as the next guy. But
yeah,
come on.
I know. Rest his soul. I mean, you got to say, but it's a whole different. There you go. You do. Oh, and the little blonde curls.
I guess so.
You do.
I need my little maxi skirt, and then I'll be set.
Yes. Let's see. Well, what else, y'all? Tell me more.
Well, I think at the end, what is it? Beauty is eternity staring at itself in the mirror. Oof. You are eternity and you are the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Look at you going on without even the book open. You have been studying. You're such a good student. I love it.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I mean, that's the old school phrase.
Doesn't this all lend a little bit more to that? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I started wondering, do you know where that comes from? That saying?
I'm not sure at all.
Yeah, I don't know either. Because I think about a lot of words being attributed, especially when you go on the internet these days, and they're like, Abraham Lincoln said that. Yeah. Like, no, he didn't. But I'm realizing as I've been reading The Prophet, how many little quips come out of this book, that we didn't know about. And so I just wonder, it's not that far from beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Those eyes that you're talking about, that I am, that I see, And
that is maybe why I was bouncing off of this chapter for a little bit, is because I was trying to put words to beauty, but that feels near impossible because of how everywhere and how all-encompassing it is. Like, if you were gonna put words to beauty, you could ramble on for hours and hours trying to chase that description, when really it is a little bit different for everyone depending on what period of their life that they're in.
Yeah, I mean, something beautiful to one person is not beautiful necessarily to the next.
Yet.
You know, people find a lot of beauty in Madrid, but they wouldn't want to live here. And,
that's a fact.
And it's weird. Beauty is one of those things. It's like a word that when I hear it, my brain instantly wants to go to the vibration. You know,
what color is beauty to you two?
Right.
It's golden to me. Like, when I hear that word, it's like a golden light beam or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The same color that God is in my head, beauty is.
I see it in like line waves from the chest emanating.
Yeah.
Almost like faster than heartbeat kind of a feeling of being excited, almost like the shakes. I feel like it happens when you sometimes think about beautiful moments that you've had. Like, you can re-experience that vibration through explaining that moment to someone else. You're reliving it.
Oftentimes beauty's overwhelming too.
Right.
That's the shakes. That's the anxious that beauty gives you. It's, am I worthy enough to
Well, the word
witness that?
ecstasy, you know what I mean? How do you even describe that word to someone? What is ecstasy? It's our chemical reaction to something. And so electricity and chemicals are all happening. So depending on what it is, you get a dose of serotonin, or you get a dose of adrenaline, or you get, you know what I mean? Whatever from the inner factory that's trying also probably to explain beauty.
Like, beauty's a physical response we have to witnessing something that's there, or something like that. Yeah.
I experience it as a connection, the connection that I've always looked for since leaving the ethereal. One of my first mind medicine journeys of recent, when I left it behind for a while. I did a little experimentation early in life, and then I left it. And then maybe 2023, just took a tiny little bite of a tiny little chocolate, and I dreamed being back in the etheric plane. And I was thinking that it was pre-birth, and now since we talked about death, and not the poem on death that's coming up, but just life and death, or timeline jumping in the multiverse. I wonder if that was the period where I was remembering the time where I almost drowned at about 7 years old, and I had resigned myself. I remember, sinking in the lake, and then panicking at first, and then looking up at this white light that was being filtered through, I believe it was the sun being filtered through the water, and just being like, oh, I guess I'm dying now.
Was that beautiful?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I just felt relief. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm dead. Now, how do you feel relief from this mortal coil at 6 or 7 years old? I mean, I haven't really been through that. My childhood was not that hard. I mean, it was,
Well,
but
regardless of what you experience here,
that's home.
That's home. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I experience beauty now, I see it as a glistening, like a glittering white light that is on everything, and I feel the sensation in my body of I can't help but smile and feel that connection to every other being, and it baffles me when I think I'm just like one way in my life. I'm grumpy, people suck, and I give my best 2 hours on the radio, but this best 2 hours becomes longer and longer throughout the week, that when I experience a kindness or an exchange with other humans or beings, dog, bird, Even a bug that is freaking me out in my house, and I'm talking to it. I'm like, come on, homie, we got to go. And that connection where I'm like, wow, that's beautiful, man. I'm like talking to you, like, hey, sorry, I got to squish you now. You out the lane. I'll see you on the
Part
other
of the
side.
cycle.
Homie. Or, put a spider outside. You may or may not make it tomorrow.
I feel like that's why the medicine is so important too, because it's not the only way there. Like there's stories about like when Ram Dass, before he was Ram Dass, like went over there and they gave like 100 doses of LSD to like the main person at the temple at that time, and he took it and he was like, I mean, effectively they describe it like he didn't feel anything, and he like laughed a little bit and he was like, this is good for beginners.
Wait, he took the 100 doses?
Yes.
At once?
Yes. Like the guru man took the 100 doses at one time and didn't alter his state at all because he was already living on that plane. Mm-hmm. And I think the medicine is so important because it's not necessary, but if you've been away from that feeling for a while, it's a really good disruptor. And then you find yourself, like you said, that 2 hours starts to extend. So that little microdose you took 3 days ago, now you find yourself talking to a bug in your living room totally sober. And you realize like, oh, I'm starting to integrate. It disrupted me in like a positive way. It's kind of like if you find yourself being lazy by way of busyness, or you just you think you don't have the time to get into your practice of meditation and spending hours a day doing that. A psychedelic is just a fast track into that space. And then if you integrate well enough, you don't really need it anymore eventually.
It's the gateway drug.
It's
It
a
opens
gateway
that
drug.
door, and I was listening to it. I just use that phrase in a whole different way now. No shame in anybody's game. Like, do your thing.
And maybe that's what they meant. Maybe they were like scared of so many people taking a gateway drug that peeled the veil back that they wouldn't be able to execute whatever they're trying to execute on all of us.
Yeah. Let's bring it to the political and the government, man. I mean, let's talk about MK Ultra. Is that that's psychedelic experiment?
They thought they could use it to make people more aggressive, and everyone just started loving on each other.
Right? Yeah. They're like, oh no, that's evil.
Back in the day when I lived in Portland, there's a lot of cults in Portland, and there's a lot of heavy-duty religious activity. And the thing of it is, throughout these reasoning sessions, it often came up that I was cheating because I came to the conversation having used marijuana. And they considered that cheating to get to the space that they were at or whatever.
They saw it as too much of a fast track or something.
Right. And so in the realm of like spiritual talking, it was just like I was using steroids or something.
Oh, that's a trip. It's like, so the same entity that put us all here, like, and put the plant medicine here.
Right.
Now I'm supposed to be like, oh, sorry, spirit, you just put this garbage down here that is not for me. And I mean, there are things that are here that should be left alone, like uranium. Like, there are serious things that are on this planet that are serving a purpose that have nothing to do with us.
And maybe yet again.
Yeah, uranium is microdoses.
I don't know. There might be some 3-year-old now that by the time he's 18 and then 21 figures out some unbelievably sustainable use for uranium.
Oh God, don't start that.
I don't
know. That's a whole. That is a trip though, because and speaking on that here in New Mexico, that's a deep subject because we have people that are indigenous people that are battling with the effects, the literal fallout of uranium dosage and being on lands where the federal government has been mining and transporting that stuff through their lands, and generations have now developed cancer on into the future.
Well, the pipelines all running through Louisiana and Alabama and all those areas too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In an already food desert.
Yeah.
Hey, in 1992, I remember there being the article in the Albuquerque Journal, no more eating catfish out of the Rio Grande.
Yeah. There are places right now where they're like, you cannot eat out of here, these little lakes. And but no, I do want to say that's, these people and their morality. I started to bookmark looking ahead at the next conversation is on religion. And there's a line here that says, he who wears his morality but as his best garment we're better naked. All those people, who are high and mighty. I talked a little bit about this last week. Oh, I'm better than you because I don't do that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, you're happy that I smoked a bit of a joint today because I can mind my business and bless you and move on. There's messages.
And there was an interesting moment in a conversation where somebody got so heated about the politics that it was just like, I don't care. 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 What does that make me? I mean, to be irrelevant
asleep
is what to not care is. And to do things in kindness, to me, is what beauty is. You know what I mean? And that also comes from that poem I couldn't cite the author of. But
love is beauty is the all.
Love is beauty is the all. And when you said, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care, I'm messing with people and sending them over to the Mixcloud. When I opened the whole show up with Jimi Hendrix, if 6 was 9, and he said, if the hippies cut off all their hair, I don't care. I don't care. If the sun doesn't shine, I don't care. It's no business of mine. The mountains fall because I got my own life to live. And there's a certain aspect of like not caring actually is good because I'm like not saying like where that cat was coming from, but it just made me like think of that song again and like my own journey when I stopped caring about what other people are doing to the capacity that I have compassion, but I'm not invested because I give it over to spirit, that there's stuff I can't even comprehend what the mission is of this little testing school ground called Earth.
Yeah, but that's the thing too about words. We try to say things like, I don't care. But anytime I hear that, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that 1 second.
I don't care if you don't believe Travis because it's like because people get so passionate about not caring. They care.
You're just like, man, if you weren't caring, I wouldn't be hanging with you.
It's like, why are you so fired up about the fact that you don't care? It sounds like you care an awful lot.
No, I think a lot of people here care a lot about each other and a lot of things. So.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, basking in the beauty.
Basking in the beauty. Y'all want to come back sometime?
I'd love to. Yeah. I broke the seal.
What they call that? Your water broke?
Yeah.
You going to rebirth Michael
Mom,
over there?
Yeah, that's a callback.
I love it. When we come full circle, that's how you know the conversation has come to its close. At least right now, where we are. Everybody, thank you so much for joining, and I'll get with these cats and figure out when we'll get together again. I'm going to be off next week. It's my birthday week, and so we're going to celebrate them slicing my mom open and dragging me out into the world.
The first trauma.
The first trauma. You cut my mama and you pulled me out. So I'm gonna try to chill on that, go easy on myself that weekend. And Bad DJ is gonna be in, and I don't know what she's gonna do, but I'm very blessed to have her. So on the 24th, the conversation is on religion, and we'll see. I had left that for someone else to see if they wanted to jump in. We'll see, but if not, maybe I'll see if you guys want to come back because we almost talked about that the other day. Say something to the people before I turn your mic off.
Thanks for listening to me ramble. If you want to listen to me ramble more, come find me at the Morel Trading Post in the Gypsy Plaza. Say what's up sometime.
Yeah, shout out to the moms.
Yes.
I love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
That's right. I love y'all. Appreciate you. Thanks
you
for tuning in. And everybody go to In the Cab Radio. Learn more. Just put it in the search engine and we'll come up. In the Cab Radio or In the Cab with Dream Queen. At Linktree and Instagram and all the places. Love you. In the Cab Radio is produced by Jada White, a.k.a. Dream Queen. Original theme music produced by Baby Weekend Boys and Icky Mac the Beat Jugular. Learn more at In the Cab Radio at Linktree. Thank you so much for tuning in.